What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Melly Rod channel. Today I am with my special guest, my prima Lupe.
Hi everybody.
How's Lupe? How are you doing?
Thank you. Good. Thank you. I'm actually fine. Just getting off work, surprisingly.
Look, and I came on time, so that's even perfect. Today we are going to be focusing a lot on autism, as you wanted to talk about, since
Yes.
it is Autism Awareness Month.
Yes.
Next on April, right?
Yes, April.
Okay. So hopefully this video helps out parents that have autism kids with who are autistic, and hopefully we get a little sense of what you went through as a mother. You ready for these questions?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You gotta cry, it's okay. I'm gonna be crying.
I'm scared already. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, if you feel uncomfortable with any of the questions that I ask you, you could go ahead and skip, and then we'll go on to the next one. Okay.
I think I'm pretty transparent and not afraid or ashamed to answer anything. Okay. So
perfect. Well, we'll
That's
see.
why I'm sorry ahead of time, people. I offend anybody. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna start off with the first question.
Okay.
What's your name? Where are you from? And what do you do for a living?
Well, my name is Lupe, and I am from Los Angeles. I am a claims administrative supervisor. So basically, I work in the insurance industry. I've been doing it now for 9 years. Prior to that, retail for about 11 plus years. I have 3 children. I have a partner, John, who's been with me now for officially 12 years. Mm-hmm. We've known each other for 13. I have a daughter named Jasmine, who's 27. Don't kill me, Jasmine. My son Damien, who's 23, mm-hmm. and Junior, who is 20 years old, and he is my son with autism. It's definitely been an experience. Mm-hmm. We enjoy family time. We barbecue here a lot. We go out on dates. We just try to be as normal as we possibly can. Right. Especially when it comes to trying to take Junior out, to outings. It can be difficult. Right. It can be challenging. So we try our best. Mm-hmm. We try our best with him. So
that was a perfect, that's a perfect intro right here.
Thank you.
All right. So you did mention that you are a mother of 3. At what age did you have each of your kids?
Wow. I'm a teen mom, okay. So I had Jasmine when I was 18 years old. It was definitely something I wasn't ready for, but I learned a lot. I think she started this whole thing for me to be strong and wanting to be better, and I think it made my life completely different. Of course, it wasn't what I expected. This is not how I wanted my life to start off as. What I had envisioned for myself when I was in high school was I wanted to be in the military, believe it or not. Oh wow. I wanted to be in the Marines for some crazy reason. And I think it all had to do with because I wanted to travel.
Okay.
So I thought maybe that will, hey, let's do it on government time. I'm dying, So that was rough. It was. I had a rough patch when I was a teen mom. Of course, I thought, like, oh God, what am I gonna do? This is a tough thing for me to be dealing with. And I left Jasmine for a while because I was in a stage where I didn't think it was fair that I'm dealing with this and her father's not, kind of thing. But snapped it in gear, came back, took care of my responsibility, and just kept moving forward from there. So it was just me and Jasmine for 4 years. Wow. And then I met my, we'll refer to him as the biological donor. Right. And I had Damien at 23. Damien was probably the only one planned, by the way. So Damien was just like a joy. I loved my son. I love all my kids. Right. Damien was just different because I was more mature. It was, I think, the beginning to me being in an actual family environment, because I grew up as with a single parent as well. When I came into your family, you guys do not have a small family, by the way. It was different. Yeah. Like family parties, holidays, which I sometimes would tend not to go to because I wasn't used to that stuff. Then little by little, I would go and whatnot. Then the boys, Dad and I the donor and I had a rough patch. We went our separate ways for a little bit. Right. We got back together. I think I was 26 years old when I had Junior, which was definitely not planned. I was not in a position to care for another child. He definitely wasn't. And I think at that point I was like, okay, he's coming. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to do this. And I took it on from there. Since then, even though the donor was around in that aspect where he was physically there, but not emotionally or financially there to be a parent.
Right.
I went through some struggles with that. Eventually married this person. That went south, whatever. It made me stronger in a way. When the separation happened, I took a toll on my emotional state.
Right.
And then having to also deal with a son with special needs, having to deal with a teenage daughter, making sure she was not bringing home a baby,
Right.
And a son who was normal, that I had to make sure wouldn't follow in the path of the negativity that was around them at that time. All of them actually at that time. Right. Each one of them has given me a different perspective of life and experience. So all three of them have helped build me to be the woman I am now, the mother I am now, the wife I am now, whatever. So it was hard. Like, I had to grow up fast.
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
fast. Yeah, so I was like, ooh.
And doing a lot of things on your own was probably something
it was
that
rough.
affected you a lot.
It was rough.
Too.
I at one point was a little upset because I was like, I don't think I should go through this alone. My mom helped me a lot.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. When she was still living here in Los Angeles, she moved away for a while to the Bay Area, and when she wasn't around, it was just me. It was just me and Damien, because Jasmine was living with her for a while in Sacramento.
Okay.
Junior was little, and it was like just me and the boys. And I think that's when I started to slowly like trying to figure out, how do I pull away from this family so I can grow? But I needed them still, because I knew that as a family. Yeah, it was different. It was very different. Like I said, I think each one, and with the age, obviously came along a lot of growth. Yeah. A lot of, not self-love, because I think for a while I kind of blame myself for putting them in that situation. Yeah. But I think a lot of like, okay, you have to reprogram yourself. Right. That this is your new normal, and you can do this on your own. You don't need anybody to help you. Which I did, for a long time, until John came along, of course. Yeah. So yeah, that was just like crazy to be dealing with all that stuff before I was 30.
Like you said, it did make you into the person that you are. But like you said in the beginning, you weren't ready. But sometimes you have to like push yourself. To do what you can for these kids, because at the end of the day, they're your kids.
Yes,
and
exactly.
They're looking at everything you're doing.
Exactly.
And as of now, I could see that they're very, very proud.
Oh, I love my kids. I'm proud of all of them for every accomplishment they have. I think as a family with someone with autism, we can kind of notice something different about certain people, but I don't think a lot of people know, because they're not exposed to it. But we have. So like I said, Junior has definitely been a blessing for all of us. A blessing for all of us.
I've seen how mature he got now.
Oh yeah.
He came in, and he literally came in and he's like, hi, like, what's your name? And I was like, oh, Melissa, what's your name? He's like, oh, Junior. And he hugs me, and I'm like, oh. Because back then, he would just be in his game. He like wouldn't talk. Yeah. And then right now he came in, I was like, okay, look at you, So little social butterfly.
He's developed a lot.
That's really good. That's really good. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seeing the great things that are happening with the kids. So.
Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
And speaking of the devil,
how are you? Do you want to say hi to the camera? You're like, hey. Hi. So you did mention like some of the difficulties that you've gone through, right? How were you able to overcome those challenges, and who was there to help you?
As crazy as it sounds, I kind of knew about autism from watching Rain Man. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie, Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. So I kind of knew that was the vision I had about that. The daycare that the kids were going to, the owner, she actually was like, I think there's something wrong. I don't want you to get upset for me telling you this. I said, no, why would I get upset? She was like kind of like a little stepping stone. Then I pretty much leaned on like friends, a couple of best friends actually. They were very supportive of me, and they were supportive in the sense where they knew I was a single mom. If I needed to speak or vent or whatnot, which I really didn't a lot, I think, because when I was first told, I go, when this lady told me, oh, there might be something wrong, do you mind if we have them evaluated? And I said, no, by all means, if there's something wrong with my son, I want to know, and I want to get him the help that I can get him now. Right. I think he was only not even maybe 2 years old. Wow. When things started happening. And of course, definitely my mom. I can never thank her enough for coming to live with me and getting me out of the situation I was in, and saying, nope, we're getting out of this place.
Yeah.
We're gonna we're gonna move. Don't tell anybody where we're going, and this and this and that. And she's been there for therapy sessions. She's been there for trips. She's been there for doctor's appointments. Of course, all this prior to John coming into the picture.
Right.
The kids have been very helpful, very supportive, because of the way I've told them that there's people that are different in general. Before even Junior was diagnosed, I said, you always treat everybody the same. John has definitely been very supportive. My previous employers have been supportive. Gabby, Memo at times, which is the boys' aunt and uncle. Their grandma on that side, not as much, but I think because she didn't quite understand. I think it took her some time to kind of grasp the situation, what it was. But I think that's what happens with a lot of families, is that because of the culture, either don't want to accept it, or they just don't know and aren't educated enough about it. Right. I did experience one time, and I will never forget, this is when Junior was in like preschool day, whatever, special class. I remember listening to a father. The kids would get what they call PECs. So it's basically like a storyboard, and they would pick little icons and what they wanted. This was the way of them communicating, because a lot of them are nonverbal.
Right.
For a long time, or just nonverbal in general. To this day, some of them are not nonverbal. And I remember this parent telling the teacher, I do not want my daughter to have this PEC, because that's just being lazy. And I'm thinking to myself, like, sir, this is not helping your daughter. You're not being very supportive. So I was like, God, I do not want to be that parent. Like, I want my son to tell me he loves me and go, hi, mom, and whatever. So I was just like, no, I can't. So I leaned on a lot of the teachers, a lot of therapists. My regional center worker, she's the best. She has been with me since Junior was 3, and we have conversations like you and I are having sometimes, like, on our yearly visits and stuff like that. So I think everybody who's been around Junior has been supportive. But like I said, my mom and my kids and John have been like the best support. I think all that has helped me to stay sane sometimes.
Make it a little easier for you.
Somewhat, definitely.
I'm glad you have like someone that you can count on.
Oh yeah.
So. Who did you hope would have helped you during these difficult times, and why?
Ooh, maybe their donor. Just because I didn't make these children him on my own, obviously. But I think he was dealing with his own issues, which in somewhat was kind of like selfish in a way to me. Of course, I was always blamed for his problems and his issues, that I was the one that caused this, the reason why he was the way he is. No.
Right.
20 years down the line, 23 years down the line, 25, whatever it is has been since then, we were still in the same issues. No. Yeah, it would have been nice, you know, because I'm sure as a child they want that other person involved, that other parent involved. Right. I think at that moment, maybe part of me actually felt that I had to isolate them. If you're not going to be supportive and be there, then why should I even communicate anything? Right. Maybe a little on his grandma on that side, just because at the time she was around more. But I don't blame her or anything, just because I felt I needed a mother at the time. My mom was still living in the Bay Area when everything happened. Like I said, I know she has her work, whatever, but it would have been nice, you know. And like I said, I don't blame her for that. Him, yes. Till this day, I will blame him. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, I think maybe that. My family, my family lives in the Bay Area. My aunt that lives in Arizona, she can't be here, but she'd call me, and it's like, are you okay? How is he doing? Do you
just checking in?
Yeah, checking in. Like, at least check in.
Little
would have been nice.
Yeah, definitely.
But everybody else, who wanted to be there was there. Whoever didn't want to be there wasn't there. Right. I wasn't looking for anybody to help me. That I think because of me wanting to isolate them and from any negative situation they can be in. So I think that's probably played a lot of role in it as well. A
negative environment or just anything like that, it does start to drain the kids.
It starts to drain them, and it shows them a behavior that they think is okay to do. I grew in a family, like I said, a single parent, where it wasn't allowed to show affection. It was always like, what are you doing? That kind of stuff. Or like, what do you want? You know,
like if you were a bother type.
Yes. If anything, me having the lack of support from that other person was a good thing. It was not a bad thing at all. Yeah, I was pissed and, you know, upset, whatever, and what's done is done, and we moved on, and look where I'm at, and look where you are. If anything, I think during that bad time, Gabby was real supportive. She like, Gabby, I think till this day, now of course Damien's older, Junior's older, Gabby to this day will communicate and be around the boys. Yeah. To me, that just speaks a lot. You know, she's definitely been there. We kind of leaned on each other for a while. And she's a great aunt to all her nieces and nephews. So, hey, Gabby. So she's great. She's a great aunt. And of course, when John came along, okay, I have 3 children. Can't have any more children. If this is what you want, I can't do this. And I have a son with special needs. He's like, no. And he's been great. So John is dad. And that's his dad. And you cannot change that from Junior. That's the only dad. So he's like very supportive. So actually John helped a lot too. Helping me with, you know, doctor's appointments, helping me with taking him to school. Something happened because he would go, our work schedules were different at the time. Something happened, he had to get picked up, John would go pick him up. And he's become part of the family. They said, I think Tony said one day, if you guys ever break up, we're keeping him, you can go. I think Junior has that chemistry that just draws people together and to him. And I think there's times that families, like I said, don't understand because of culture, because of just lack of education when it comes to being informed and stuff, that they tend to pull away. And I know a lot of, you lose friends, you lose family because you have a child with special needs. Your life is completely different. It's a different type of normal for you. An easy task like getting him dressed for school can become like the most stressful event ever. This kid will not wear shorts when it's summertime. He wants to wear sweats.
Hey, that's me sometimes, so I'm not gonna lie.
You're silly. You're so silly.
So we are going to be focusing a little extra on your youngest kid, Junior, aka your autistic prince.
Yes.
At what age was he diagnosed with autism?
He was diagnosed right before he turned 2 years old. We thought he was actually deaf at first because he would be at daycare, and this is, by the way, how everything really started was because he always made this like humming noise, and he would always do this like roll of a tongue noise too, and he would be sitting in daycare. The teacher would kind of like call out his name and he wouldn't turn around. He would just focus on, she had a ceiling fan, and they tend to focus a lot on spinning things. So she said he focuses a lot on the ceiling fan. He doesn't respond to his name. And I said, well, maybe he's deaf, you know? She's like, do you mind if we have somebody from the regional center come over and kind of evaluate him? I'm like, no, by all means, you know, like I said before, if there's something wrong with him, I want to know. Yeah. And so she actually had this intake worker come over to the daycare and evaluated him there. And she pretty much, and I think when she told me that, because she said, I think he might have autism. And that's when I said, are you sure he's not deaf? You know?
You sure?
I'm like, because I think he just ignores people, but whatever. He can't
I just think he doesn't like people.
Yeah. I think he's just tuning everybody out. The intake worker came in. She's, you know, asked questions, because they ask you questions and these are repetitive questions, so you really need to be patient when they ask you this stuff, because it's like a routine thing, because they don't know where this comes from. There really isn't. Some people have a theory about vaccines, other people have theories about the diets, whatever. I'm neither here nor there. When she told me, oh, maybe he has autism or whatever, I started thinking, like Rain Man. And so the intake worker, she did all her assessment and whatnot, and she said, I don't have a degree to tell you this, but I believe your son has characteristics of autism. And I said, okay, so what do I have to do now?
What's the next step?
Yeah, like I wasn't like, yeah, it hurt. Excuse me, it hurt, but I wasn't gonna be like, oh, poor me, poor my son. No. I wanted to do something for him. So she told me, okay, now you have to go to your pediatrician. Have him evaluate him, call Social Security, get his case going, because he's going to be entitled to benefits for those who qualify. Get him support, get him, you know, these groups, we can help you with that. And I said, okay. So I took him to the pediatrician. When I mentioned to him what this worker had noticed, he said, okay, well, let me evaluate him. So he kind of did like a quick assessment there. This is when we were still going to Kaiser and Sunset, and they have a team there that evaluates children with special needs from anywhere from autism to like ADHD, anything psychiatric.
Right.
So they had a team that did like gross motor skills with him to see if he can meet certain milestones for his age. They kind of like just sat there and kind of played with him to see what he would respond to, what he wouldn't respond to. And once they did their assessment that same day, they're like, oh, we're gonna sit you here. They had a social worker come in to speak with me too, and she's like, your son has autism. I said, yeah, I know that already, but I think because I mentally prepared myself for it. So they said, okay, we're gonna give you a diagnosis letter. You need this letter. It's very important because you need to get him services, start therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy.
So everything just went quick.
Yeah, wow. Very quick. They even did a sleep deprived test because this boy, even now, can still pull all-nighters. Oh my God. He can be up a whole 24 hours and still be the next day awake.
That's wild.
So they did that too. It was right before his second birthday. And I got the diagnosis, and we just started like from there who I had to reach out to. Pretty much started to get him going to places where they would start like different types of therapies, because he had like about 4 different types of therapies. Everything has like a step, so they don't, if you apply like for social security for them, you have to have an evaluation with their doctors. So a lot of different people see him. You're always going to have all kinds of tests done on them, not always blood tests, to see if he can identify the colors or if he can put this shape with that shape kind of thing, just to see where he's at developmentally. So by the time he was 2, he was going to kind of like a big play gym for them to teach him how to throw a ball, catch a ball. His growth motor skills were a little off. So as time went on, they put him in school, which they would teach him how to kind of develop to speak as well. Not that a 2-year-old should be really fully, I think, talking or what exactly the vocabulary is for a normal 2-year-old. Junior actually did not speak till he was almost 6. And a lot of it was like babble stuff. You couldn't really understand. He now puts probably more complete sentences, but he always refers to himself as a third person.
Did you notice any characteristics yourself?
The only thing I noticed with him was he didn't really make eye contact. He always did that humming noise or the flapping. The arm, he was a flapper. I do remember him being in his playpen, and he would just bounce for 1 second, run. Those are kind of things, but I did notice that whole where he wouldn't respond to anything, noise, his name, nothing. Those probably were the main ones for him. And his diet. They're very sensitive to textures. A lot of kids with autism very sensitive to sound. Junior had both of those as well. What a lot of people don't know is that they'll go through the normal growth milestones and it looks like everything's fine, and then they just stop. Like for Junior, I think the last maybe milestone that he really hit on time, I think, or maybe even ahead of time, because he was an early walker, was walking. I was just like, wow. I mean, the other 2 walked at a year. This one walked at like 10 months. Aggressiveness can be one too, or being just emotionless. So for him, those are things that we notice. But then other than that, I've even heard of people saying that they'll tend to be very hyperactive, which Junior is also ADHD. So like, great.
You're like another added.
Yeah. What else? So those were the things that and because he did not know how to express himself, and like I said, he couldn't speak till he was about 6 years old. He was a biter.
Oh wow.
Oh, he bit the shit out of one of the teachers, where like he broke the skin because she took away something he preferred, and he just bit her. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But she was patient enough, and hitting himself. Oh. Sometimes now he'll do it where he hits his chest, and it's not like a it's like a hard full on, like you can hear that thump, like I hear it in my chest, like oh. Or he would hit his head, or sometimes they pull their hair, walking, holding their ear, or just walking, pacing back and forth. Junior would do this.
Like wanting to do something.
Yes, very fidgety. But I think some people even say, grinding teeth. He used to grind his teeth. He doesn't anymore. I think somebody just recently, their wife was diagnosed with autism. Rob Dyrick. the guy from Robin Big. I think his wife just recently got diagnosed with autism, which you can lead a normal life and not even know you have it. Attention span, definitely.
I mean, the good thing is, especially was it the teacher that noticed that immediately.
She's like on it. So I was like, oh, I wouldn't even have. No, I thought he was just. I honestly thought he was deaf. Honestly, I thought he did.
Okay, so this one's from Gabby.
Oh.
So
Thanks,
Gabby had asked, what went through your mind when the doctor said your child is autistic?
Oh shit, it's real. That played in my mind, and I think it was a couple of different things, but like I said, I was mentally prepared myself for it, for them to tell me, yes, that's what it is.
Right.
But I did think like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do now? But in my head, it was like, why me? You know? I started thinking, okay, this means that you definitely need to change the way you are. This is gonna either make you or break you. Right. For sure. If the other two didn't, this is gonna be for sure. And I felt almost alone. Like I'm like, you're thinking to myself like, shit, I'm gonna deal with this all alone. I kind of wanted to be like, fuck everybody, but I just dealt with it. In some way, in my way, I probably not verbally telling people, but I did it by isolating myself. I know for a fact that this was given to me, that God gave me this child to teach me patience, because I was the most impatient person in the world. I tend to be sometimes now, but not like I was back then. It hurt. It hurt, you know. I'm not gonna sit here and say it didn't hurt. It hurt. I think I'm like, okay, am I gonna give up this child? Am I gonna get to that point? Because I know there's families who have. Am I gonna be strong enough for this? And I like, okay, get it in gear. You got it. You have to do this. This is your, like, again, this is your responsibility. You brought him into this world. You got to take care of him. You got to do all this. You got to do all this. Nobody else is gonna do it for you. You have to do it. But now when I look at him, I'm just like, you have definitely taught me patience. I just would do it all over again for him. For all of them. For sure. I would do it all over again.
What does autism mean to you specifically?
I'm gonna say, for me, and I think I always put these in my posts when I refer to Junior, they live in their own little magical world. You can't really understand or be invited or let in because you're not part of that world. To me, he's the most lovable person. He's very affectionate. Very affectionate. It's development delays, of course, growth delays, physically too, because outside he might look like a 20-year-old, even though he's real petite. If you notice, he's real petite for a 20-year-old. Physically, he's a 20-year-old, but developmentally, as far as his growth motor skills, his strength is about a 4-year-old. So Junior does not really know how to throw a ball or kick a ball. That's why he has physical therapy as well. Mentally, it may be about also 4 years old. Any adult with any kind of disability to me are special, and there's a reason why God made them that way. Taught me to be patient. You know, he's just a blessing in general. Autism blocks him from being the person he has to be, or that he should be, I should say. That he should be, if you want to go by normal society's terms and stuff like that. He takes things really literally. So, you know, he doesn't know. We try to explain things. He likes them women, them light-skinned women.
Interesting.
No, he likes women in general, because he'd be hitting on Betty.
Oh, very.
He'd been hitting on Jessica. He hit on my sister-in-law Jessica, which is John's sister, on Damien's girlfriend.
Oh my.
So I think at that point he knows. He's a little Casanova.
He's a little charmer.
Autism is just like a learning experience for you. Not only are you learning, they're learning, but it's developing yourself as a human. The world we live in, especially right now, I think we tend to forget that needs to be loved. Everybody needs to be accepted, regardless of race, sex orientation, anything. You would kind of, you know, how much money you have in the bank or whatever. So I think to me, he just represents, in his world, represents just love.
That's a good way to put it.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you.
Was it ever challenging for your other kids to understand what autism was? And were they ever jealous of the fact that you had to pay a little extra attention to Junior?
I don't think the kids have ever been jealous. Well, maybe Damien. Damien is the middle child.
Right.
I think part of him wanted the the little brother he can mess around with, play fight, whatever. Jasmine, no. Jasmine's like a mini mom. Jasmine has been supportive and very strong about the whole situation and always cared for her brothers. But I think maybe Damien lacked that brotherly bond type thing. He couldn't go outside with his brother and run around and play or sit play video games till now. They're very protective of him in the community. Somebody always has him because he used to be a runner where he would just take off. As far as them feeling jealous, no, I don't think so. I think Jasmine sometimes says, oh my god, if Junior were normal, these two would be fighting all the time. But no, it was always, attention has been always fair for all three of them.
How did you find resources to help you better understand what autism was, and also resources to help you be there for Junior?
Like I said, the regional center worker, if you have one, your social worker, caseworker can help you. They are the best at providing support groups, therapies. Like I said, my worker, I've had great experience with her. She's led me to where to start, what kind of path. We've made a plan together from the beginning. They also help a lot. They have a lot of support group for parents. You go to these support groups and stuff, even at the schools that have these special classes for them, you get to talk with other parents, and the other parents are support, you know, and educate each other. I do remember also reading Jenny McCarthy's book because her son has autism. She wrote a book about her experience, so I kind of did a little stuff with that she put in her book about like the diet, going gluten-free, somewhat helped. Regional center, community networking, I think all of that.
Like kind of like showing you like you're not alone through it.
Yeah,
you know,
there's other people. And there's other children that are more severe than Junior. Junior's pretty high functioning for the level in the spectrum that he's in. You see different stages of the spectrum through other children and adults. I think that all helps to educate yourself with it as well.
So this one's actually a question from a friend of mine. So my friend Becca asked, are there any challenges when it comes to communicating yours or their emotions? So like Junior's emotions.
It was definitely harder in the beginning because he wasn't verbal. And when he was verbal, he really didn't know to say that he was mad. A way of showing anger was biting people or hitting himself was a form of expression, and he was upset. I think the first time I can actually say, or that I knew he was upset because of something, we had taken him to the movies to watch the Lego movie and all that. Okay, listen to the Lego movie. And we're at the theater. By the way, check your local theaters because some of these theaters provide sensory friendly films for children and adults with autism, and to where they can take the kids and the sound is not as loud, it's not as dark in there, they can eat their food, they can run around, make noise, do whatever they have to do without anybody telling them anything. 10 o'clock, the early show on a Saturday morning. We happened to miss the sensory friendly showing of this movie. It's a kids movie. I think Junior is probably on in between John and myself because it was just us three. We're sitting there and he's, you know, excited, and he's kind of he does this and, you know, a little fidgety, and he was asked questions, but he thinks he's whispering. He's like, you know, like, shh, you know, sorry, be quiet, you know, that kind of stuff. This fucking lady, she's like, shh, and I'm like, what? I was like, and she's like, he's being loud. I'm like, do not shush him, you know, like, he's autistic. And, you know, and when I said that, are you shushing him? Like, you know, John like flipped out. He's like, what's going on? He's like, I'm like, she's shushing him. She's like, who the fuck is telling him anything? I'm like, oh my god. We had to leave the theater. Well, one, because I didn't want John to get into trouble. And two, because it was like, it was uncomfortable already. Luckily, it was the beginning of the show. We left. I told management. Junior got really upset we were leaving, and he was crying. He didn't want to go. He said, I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. Believe it or not, I broke down to the lady, the manager. I started crying. I was like, and she said, what's wrong with her? I was like, you know, my son is autistic, and you know, he's trying to, she's like, but it's a kid's movie. I'm like, I know. Like that. She's like, no, don't worry. We're going to give you passes to come back. And she refunded our money. In the car, he settled down. In the car, he was fine. We got him McDonald's because he was upset. I think we even bought him a game just to kind of make him feel a little better. He didn't ask for it, but we bought him a little cheap game. When we got home, he was sitting eating, and he was just tears rolling down his eyes. I'm sorry.
Aw.
I didn't mean make noise. And I'm like, why are you upset? Because I didn't want to make noise. I'm so sorry. I think that's the first time I ever seen him express himself that he was hurt. He doesn't really cry. And when he cried, I was like, it broke my heart. And I said, but you didn't do anything wrong. Like I had to explain to him, like, you know, oh sorry, you know, you didn't do nothing wrong. It's okay. You know, it's just some people don't understand. I was trying to explain as best as I could to him. From there on, it's been like, are you okay? I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Does your head hurt? No. And he'll know. I'm just like, Junior, don't eat too much. Why? And like, oh, because you have a tummy ache. I'm gonna have a tummy ache. I don't want a tummy ache. I'm like, okay. You know, or I'll ask him, does it hurt? He'll say yes, but it doesn't. You know, does it hurt here? Yes. Does it hurt here? Yes. So it's difficult. It has its challenges. But I think that's the only time I've ever seen him emotionally express anything. Anger, just when you don't give him what he wants, he'll stomp and he'll hit himself. He'll try to push. That's when his adrenaline kicks in, and it's really, really tough because he's been able to push me, and I'm not a petite girl. So he has where we were showing him during one of the therapy sessions, they had pecs again for different emotions and facial expressions, like sad, angry. I remember him saying he was sad, and I'm like, well, don't be sad, it's not your fault. You know, but it's hard for them to physically show emotion. It's hard, verbally even harder. He knows he'll, like, if I've been upset about something, he sees, why you crying, mom? But like, why you crying, mom?
Like, wait.
Like, get it together, girl. He's like nonchalant by why you crying. I'm like, oh, because my head hurts. Oh, okay. Because you have to keep asking questions, you know, to find out what is actually going on with them. So
when it comes to your own self-care, what are some things that you like to do?
Believe it or not, because of the regional center also, and because of my work schedule, and at the time when Junior was small, they provide me with hours of respite time. So they were basically paying someone for me to go out. Prior to being with, you know, John was always been about taking the kids to the movies, going to get my nails done, getting my hair done. I think going out, I went out a couple times with like family and stuff. I think we went clubbing one time years ago, of course. You know, just being in my room. I did though always work, and my work schedule was always 3 to 9 Monday through Friday, till I became a manager, and I was working from like 7 to 5. I think work was my escape. I used to take them to work sometimes with me because boys donor wouldn't help me with them. I would sneak Junior in the stroller behind the counter. I worked retail, okay, at this point. I would sneak Junior behind the counter in the stroller, and Jasmine would be sitting there if she was back, you know, from her dad's visit, because her dad, you know, was obviously not the boy's dad. Damien would be right there next to him too. Or I would sit them in the back of the office and take them with me. So when my mom came to live with me, it was different. I had to help, and she would watch him. But it was my escape from everything. I socialized at work with my customers, with my coworkers. But I was at work, come home, they were asleep. I had to really worry. I think biggest thing for me has always been like work, my nail, and getting my hair done. Prior to John, when John came along, we would go out all the time, you know, on dates and stuff, which is important, I think.
Definitely.
And then being with the kids, taking them to the movies. I tried to take them to like the aquarium, you know, do things with them. But for me alone has always been like, I want to go hang out with the girls, you know. Of course, this was before a lot of my friends got married and started having their children. Now they got kids
They
and
start their own family.
Yeah. Or they move far away, or just sit at home watching movies. Work helped me a lot to escape, you know, the normal life at home. Socializing could be hard because a lot of people don't understand, like, no, I can't do this today because, you know, I have to take care of him or whatever. That probably was the best thing that helped me stay sane.
Right.
Had it been any other way, I don't know how I could have fully been 100%.
What are some tips or advice you have for parents who recently received news of their kids being diagnosed with autism?
Take advantage of every resource and help you can get. They are there to help you. If there's something you're not comfortable with, then don't do it. Find a different resource. Regional centers are great. I'm with the Westside Regional Center, and I think it's one of the best ones. Of course, everybody has in their different areas. Don't be afraid to ask for help from your pediatrician, your pastor, priest, whatever you know, whatever your preference is. I think, and if anything has helped me, is talking to other people who are either in the same situation. You know, like I said, your doctors, your best resource right here, the internet. Search up, look up things, find out things for yourself at first before you say, no, I don't want to do it. Because I've had a couple of friends where they have children with autism. When I said, go apply for this service, oh, I don't know, I should just wait. I'm like, girl, these resources are there for you and him or her. Take advantage of them. Take advantage of them, because in the long run, it's not for you. It's for your child, to help them develop, to help them grow, to hopefully leave that magical world somewhat they're in. It's the best feeling in the world when they finally can speak, when they can finally throw a ball, when they can finally tell you that they love you, or come to hug you and kiss you, because Junior wants to do it all the time now. It's just the best feeling in the world, but you should have the resources available to you. And if you don't know, Google it. Schools, speak to the counselors. Make sure you have what they call an IEP, which is an individualized education plan. They do it every year. Every goal your child is given, and if they met it or not. If you're not comfortable with something, speak up. There's no reason why somebody is going to get mad at you because you don't want that, you know, that therapist. Because I had that happen to with Junior, where a therapist was just real aggressive with him, and I said no, don't ever bring her back again. You are the parent. You know what you want. You know what they need. If you're not comfortable, your child's not comfortable, your child's crying, switch agencies. You can switch as many agencies as you want, and get to know the people who are around your child. You know, rely on family if you can. Friends if you can. Don't be afraid to cry. Don't be afraid to be angry. Don't be afraid to feel like you can't do it, like this is never gonna get better. And don't feel like you're being punished, because in the beginning I somewhat felt that way, but I started realizing, no, this is because I'm so fucking impatient, and this little boy is teaching me patience. You just gotta keep in mind that they're just a blessing in general. Like I said, whatever your preference is, this was God's plan. This is what He wanted in your life. You gotta embrace it. Don't be afraid to express yourself. You are your person. You are your child's advocate, their voice. So you have to raise hell for somebody to listen to you, and you know, you get your point across, you do it. I've done it. I never back down about speaking up for any of my children, especially Junior. So anything that they say, oh, you gotta help them do this, give them this type of milk, and don't get, okay, let me try it. Just try it once. If it helps them, then you stay with it. If it doesn't, well, I'll move on to the next theory. You know, nobody's gonna get mad at you for you trying different things. Exactly. Your child's benefit, not yours. And don't feel like you're alone. In reality, there's somebody out there that's probably worse off than you are. And always make sure you ask your child if they feel okay, because you never know. One day they're gonna come and tell you how they feel, somewhat express something, and always pay attention to their body language when they're around other people. If they're not comfortable with certain people, then they should not be around those people. I know they also have support groups for the children themselves to go to, like prom and like movie nights. There's this place that I actually did community service from work called Golden Heart Ranch. Is really nice. They have activities for children and adults with autism, and don't feel like they cannot have a normal life because of their disability. Make it as normal as possible. It's your new normal, and just stay strong for each other. That's another thing before we go. It can cause a burden on your relationship. I know there's some people who've even got like divorces and stuff like that. You have to make time for each other, and you have to make time for this child and the rest of your children if you have more children, because at the end you are all that this person has. It's the little things that count. So just don't give up on them. Don't feel bad because your child is different. Remember to have a plan for them if something were to happen to you. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
That's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
It can go into a bigger, broad, more on this, but
that's a good one too. That's
because
true.
I have that ready. I have that ready because I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know. And you're your child's voice, and you want to make sure that when you're not here anymore, that they still have a voice.
Right.
That's it.
Thank you. I appreciate you
so
much for sitting down and giving
I looked forward to this.
That's good. I know. That's good.
So Thank you so much.
Of
I
course.
appreciate you bringing light to this because I think a lot of people don't know, and it's becoming more and more common now.
Yeah.
Majority is in boys, the higher risk in boys, but doesn't mean that all the boys are gonna be like this.
Right.
You know, it's a good thing to, you know, like I said, my case is different from the next one.
Right.
So if you know someone else and you interview someone else with a child, that I would like to see it too.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No
And,
problem.
you know, taking your time out of your busy day, you know.
Oh, I know. Look how my desk is just so nice here.
She got a lot going on, right, y'all? But yeah, thank you so much. But you know, hopefully, you know, great things come for you and Junior and your family.
Thank you.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this, you know, little episode that we have. People out there, you know, you guys have resources. I'll be putting down like the links to like the different, you know, places that you mentioned. But yeah, hopefully it helps out somebody out there. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. Anything you want to say before we end this?
Autism Speaks is also a good resource to go on, and they also tend to do walks every April to raise money for families who cannot afford the therapy. So just keep that in mind. But I'll let you know more of the other links.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, y'all, have a good one, and yeah, just be safe out there, and much love. Peace.
Bye.
Hit the crib, hit the club, hit the after party. I'm not Da Vinci, but I'm trying to paint your bride.